Georgia's future also stands on this war and its outcome.
Unfortunately, during this war, more than 30 soldiers from Georgia heroically sacrificed their lives for Georgia and Ukraine's liberties.
Ukraine today is not only fighting the Ukrainian war, but Ukraine today is also fighting Georgian war. Ukraine is fighting the war for the entire Western civilization.
Hello, and welcome to Ukrainian Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center and NGO Euro-Atlantic Course. And I'm your host, Matt Wickham. Russia and Georgia's relationship has long been tense and volatile. Hostilities between Russia and Georgia have not abated since the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 and the declaration of Georgia's independence. South Ossetia was the source of a war with direct fighting lasting 5 days between Russia and Georgia in 2008, causing significant damage and influence on civil society. In this episode, we have those on the Georgian front supporting Ukraine, telling of how they are supporting the Ukrainian people. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and don't forget to press subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the people of Georgia have chosen Ukraine, repeatedly going out to the streets in protest to support the Ukrainian people. Baia, head of Sapari and the human rights defender, has a message of solidarity for Ukrainians and a confidence in the Ukrainian people and their ability to win, which she assures will have a significant impact on the prosperity as well of Georgia's future.
Hello, my name is Baia Pataraia, human rights defender from Georgia. I'm recording this video in order to honor Ukraine and its brave people who are fighting the real monster, but who are standing very brave in this fight. You should know that we're praying for you, and there is no other outcome from this war other than winning this war. Definitely we all need peace, but we need this peace after Ukraine's victory. It's very difficult to talk about this war and about this problem. Words cannot express the pain and all the feelings that we feel for you, but I think that Georgia's future also stands on this war and its outcome. I think that we all, Ukrainian people and Georgian people, fight for our European future, and we are in this fight together. We stand together and we will win together. Thank you for everything you're doing for not only your country, but for our country and for all the world.
Although many see Russia's 2008 invasion on Georgia as a short war, the repercussions are seen up to the present day, with Russia applying lessons learned to its illegal annexation of Crimea and its invasion of Ukraine in 2014. Despite the fact that much of the international community then condemned Russia's 2008 invasion on Georgia, indecisiveness and the lack of military support allowed Russia to occupy the territory, perhaps arguably paving an easier path for Russia to invade Ukraine in 2022.
Hello, I am Natia Gvritishvili, representative of Sapari, feminist organization from Georgia. When Russia started the war in Ukraine, we felt deep sense of distress and tragedy, as if the war was happening against us. All Georgians felt a strong responsibility to do whatever we could to support and encourage Ukrainian people during these difficult times. At Sapari, we manage a safety mobile application called Save You, designed to protect women and children. The application has a unique feature that allows users to send an SOS messages to their trusted persons, organizations, and even the police, with their exact location if they are in danger. The app also provides anonymous forms for users to seek assistance from professionals, including lawyers, social workers, psychologists, gynecologists, and etc. When the war in Ukraine broke out, we realized that the SafeU application could be help to Ukrainian refugees who had fled to Georgia. Therefore, we took the initiative to translate the application into Ukrainian, making it accessible to the Ukrainian community in Georgia. We are committed to supporting our Ukrainian friends, and we will continue to provide assistance whenever and wherever possible. Slava Ukraini! Героям слава!
Vasil, Georgian lawyer, discusses how Georgians will do whatever they can to aid the demise of the Emperor of Russia and a confidence in Ukraine's victory.
Hello, with this address I would like to express our inspirations for the Ukrainian nation. I want to tell you a little story about how Georgian people express their support for Ukraine. When the war started, the Georgian people came out on streets to show support for Ukrainian sisters and brothers. We showed the Ukrainian people and the whole world that our hearts are with you and we wished you great victory against the Russian Empire. With the help of the civil society organizations, humanitarian aid was collected several times by Georgian people and thus expressing support for the Ukrainian nation. After Ukrainian refugees arrived in Georgia, the Georgian people showed heartfelt friendship and still provided support and integration into Georgian society. We strive to assist Ukrainian refugees meet their individual needs and create opportunities to integrate into Georgian society effectively. Ukraine's struggle for freedom and independence is our struggle as well. Thousands and thousands of Georgians are fighting against the Russian Federation along with Ukrainian warriors. Today, Ukrainians are fighting not only for their land and independence, but also for Western values and for civilized society. And this war will finish by the glorious victory of our beloved Ukrainians.
Alexander from the Franklin Club recounts the inspiring actions of many Georgians who have stepped up to help Ukrainians and provide thousands of Ukrainians in Georgia and back in Ukraine with the means to keep their feet firmly on the ground, providing support and stability in a time of crisis, a concept they know far too well.
Today I'm here to talk about Georgia's people and Georgia's civil society solidarity with Ukraine and Ukrainians. When Russia invaded Ukraine on 24th of February 2022, it was a complete shock for every Georgians. We really felt your pain and all atrocities which Russians have caused, because we lived through it and we could definitely understood that if Russia is successful in Ukraine, Georgia would be next. I remember that life basically stopped in Georgia for a few days and everyone was living through Ukrainian wars, constantly updating each other about what's going on and discussing military strategies and so on. But then, after the first shock was gone, we Georgian people and Georgian civil society organizations decided that we had to mobilize ourselves and do everything possible to support Ukraine in its endeavor to fight against Russian aggression. Firstly, we started gathering different types of humanitarian aid. A few points were open where people were bringing all sorts of things, be it medicine or medical stuff or different types of products which Ukrainians needed and required in those difficult times. Also, in parallel to that, a huge number of Ukrainian refugees started to enter Georgians, which we felt we had to be somehow accommodate and give them shelter which they needed to Russia's aggression. So a lot of effort of Georgians and Georgian civil society organizations went to support Ukrainian people who had to flee their homes because of the Russian aggression, and thousands of people volunteered to provide their homes or to provide different kinds of assistance. A lot of Georgian businesses started to gather funds or to help Ukrainians finding new jobs or the way of living in Georgia. A few places started offering Ukrainians also different courses for their children or for people not to feel full brutally and kind of not part of Georgian civil society. So it was very important for us to help those people and integrate them into Georgian society. And in parallel to that, we were continuing helping and fundraising for Ukrainians who stayed in Ukraine to support them in their efforts to defeat the Russian invasion, sending different types of products. For example, for a while, the whole Georgian society was collecting funds to buy electric generators to support Ukraine through the winter due to Russia attacking the civil infrastructure. So in the end, based on this full-scale Georgian solidarity, which is mostly because all of us Georgians understand that Ukraine today is not only fighting the Ukrainian war, but Ukraine today is also fighting Georgian war. Ukraine is fighting the war for the entire Western civilization, and we understood that we had to be in that, and we had to support our Ukrainian friends in this very, very, very hard endeavor. And because we understand that, and we also feel very confident that Ukraine will prevail, and that would be a victory not just for the Ukrainian people, but for the whole Georgia, the whole region, and entire West. And this would be the victory for the Western values over invasion and over the Russian Empire. And that's why it's very, very important for a lot of Georgians, because it's not just your war, but we also feel that it's our war and also affects us and our people as well.
Gvantsa, head of legal aid program in Georgia, states that it's difficult to find anyone in Georgia who is not devastated by the news and the war. And as a result, people frequently gather on the streets to express solidarity and urge the government to provide stronger support to Ukraine. Ukraine supported Georgia during its war with Russia in 2008, and so people believe that it's now Georgia's turn to respond.
Hello Ukraine, I am Gvantsa and want to send you warm regards from Georgia. 1 year has passed since Russia started its unjustified invasion of Ukraine and completely changed the world. The civilized nations have witnessed horrific crimes against humanity. We will always remember the day when the media outlets announced that Ukraine was under attack. In Georgia, it was hard to find a person who was not devastated by this news. The whole of Georgia gathered on the streets that day. There was anger, injustice, and pain in the eyes of all of us. The war in Ukraine has triggered the pain of a post-trauma we have carried in ourselves since the Abkhazia War and August War, when Russia occupied more than 20% of Georgia. That's why the majority of Georgian people have brought the tragedy of the Ukrainian people close to their heart and considered Ukraine's war as our war too. From the beginning, we knew that if the war ended with the victory of Ukraine, it would weaken Russia's influence in Georgia and give us the hope that we could finally restore our territorial integrity. While in the opposite case, sooner or later, we too would face Russian aggression. Georgian fighters who have gone to Ukraine had the same attitude, and they have been fighting in Ukraine for the same reason. Unfortunately, during this war, more than 30 soldiers from Georgia heroically sacrificed their lives for Georgia and Ukraine's liberties. These two countries have always had strong relations, and we Georgians love to say that Ukraine is our brotherly nation. We remember Ukraine's support during the Abkhazia and August wars, and now I think it's our turn to support our friends. I think that unlike the government, Georgian people are really dedicated to back Ukrainians. Georgians have always had strong responses towards the Georgian government's statements during the war. From the very first day, thousands of Georgians have united in support of Ukraine, and civilians, volunteers, and different organizations engaged in humanitarian activities every day. There were different humanitarian aid points in a different location, and I too, with my co-workers in Democracy Defenders, was involved in a campaign of civil society called From Georgian People, where we were collecting supplies for Georgian humanitarian assistance in Ukraine. I will never forget the moment when people were coming early in the mornings with the medical supplies, baby foods, and even pet foods in their hands. This experience turned out to be extremely emotional, where I saw how Georgians supported Ukrainians during the war against our common historical enemy. As I said before, 1 year has passed since this horrific day, and Ukraine still stands on its ground. This war is not always the war of the Ukrainian people. Ukrainians are fighting for freedom, for democracy, for our common values, not just in Ukraine, but in the whole world.
You've been watching the special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukrainian Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information about how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!